Testing, testing. All right, I think we are live. Welcome, people. Welcome. Bienvenidos. Thank you so much for being here with me. Welcome to another episode of the Empowered Immigrant Live. I'm Otis Landerholm. I'm the founding attorney here at Landerholm Immigration, A.P.C, where we fight for your American dream. Thank you so much for being here. And today we are talking about asylum. All right? And so, let's do it. Let's get into it. Asylum update 2021. So first of all, welcome and thank you so much for being here. At the Empowered Immigrant Live, we are here to train, to teach, to inspire, and to empower immigrants to make the most out of immigration laws and to make the most out of their lives. Thanks to everyone who asked questions, all right? As always, we'll do 30 minutes in English, and we'll talk about asylum law, and then we'll do this episode in Spanish. And so I'm starting a little bit, it's almost 2:10, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go until 2:40 in English, and then we'll start it in Spanish, and we'll go to 3:10 in the afternoon in Spanish. And so if you're joining in, chat with us, be with us, text us your questions. I will do the best that I can possibly do to get to everyone's questions and to answer them. And thank you to all of the people that submitted questions. I was reviewing the questions before our call, and some of them are really, really great questions. And so thank you for submitting those. Before we get into the questions, I want to take just a few minutes, and I want to discuss the basics of asylum. All right, are we ready for that? All right, are you ready? Are you up for it? Good. All right, what are the basics? Basics number one, asylum is risky. All right, it's risky because if you file asylum and if you lose, you can subject yourself to deportation proceedings. Okay, there's risk involved. Basic number two, asylum is difficult. Most cases that are filed get denied. All right, it's important to know that. Basics number three, asylum also brings enormous benefits. All right, yes, the risks are high, but the rewards are high. All right, if you win, you can work, you can live, you can stay the rest of your life in the United States. You can eventually apply for a green card after 1 year after winning your case. You can also include spouses and children in your case. After you get a green card, you can be eligible to become a U.S. citizen. After that, you can petition for parents and other family members to join the U.S. It is one of the key ways to gaining legal status, long-term permanent status here in the United States. All right, that's basics number three. All right, basics number four is really what the law requires. All right, we'll talk about asylum law. To win asylum, you've got to show that you have a well-founded fear of persecution, all right? And why? Why are you going to be persecuted? Why are you going to be harmed? It's got to be on account of one of five things. It's got to be on account of your race, your religion, your nationality, your political opinion, or your quote-unquote membership in a particular social group. And in addition to those things, you can't have triggered various bars. So there are 9 bars. I talk about those in other videos. I also have a whole course where I train people how to file for asylum. You could check that out also, okay? But the main bar that I want to discuss for today's purposes is the 1-year bar or the 1-year filing deadline, which says that, yes, you've got to file your case within 1 year of your entry in the United States. All right, there are a couple exceptions to it, but by and large, you got to file your case within a time window, because if you don't, then you'll be denied. Okay, and so that's asylum law. Those are the basics. That's all I'm going to say. All right. Now I do want to talk very quickly about some statistics. All right, so just think about this. Think about these statistics real quick with me. So just last year, all right, asylum cases in court with a lawyer, there were 226,483 cases approved, okay? Out of a total of 495,651 total. That means it's 46% win rate only. More than 50% were denied, even with lawyers. Okay? Now, asylum cases without lawyers, we'll compare those, all right? 18,246 were successful and won asylum versus 120,507 total cases last year were fought without a lawyer and were denied, were lost. In other words, without a lawyer, there's a win rate of only 15%. All right? So 15% without a lawyer, 46% with a lawyer. Win rate. Those are just the win rates nationally. All right? Said that a different way, your win rate will triple, will increase by 300% if you have a lawyer helping you. Think about that. All right? Think about that. What's the point? The point is, please, if you're filing for asylum, don't do it alone. Don't do it alone. You don't want to do it alone. You don't want to lose. If you file for asylum, the risks are severe enough. The costs are substantial anyway. Your whole life is riding on this thing. You want to do it as well as you possibly can to maximize your chances of winning. And so please do that. All right? Please do that. All right, I want to tell you a quick story and then we'll jump into the questions. Just yesterday, literally yesterday, I was in a consultation, all right? A son and his mom were in my office, and the father of the son, the husband of the mom, was in Mexico but was on WhatsApp, all right? Was on like their phone talking to me, and he was recently deported to Mexico. So the consultation is mom and son sitting in chairs in front of me, husband on the phone. All right, I should hold up my phone. So here's the thing. His hometown is now being violently targeted. He's had to flee his hometown. There's like mafia, there's drug traffickers, there's people doing bad things. He's been targeted and threatened that he can't go back to his home. He's incredibly nervous. He wants to flee to the United States. He wants protection. He doesn't want to live in fear. He wants to file for asylum. So they're in my office. They want to hire me to help them file for asylum. Small problem. Small problem. It's actually a huge problem. He was deported already. That's why he's in Mexico right now. He was already deported. And so here's the thing. Unfortunately, my advice to him, and this is not my advice to everyone, that's what we need to do in a consultation, talk it through, right? But unfortunately, my advice to him is do not do it. He'll re-enter. He'll turn himself in at the border. They will arrest him. They could send him to federal custody. They could send him to jail, to a criminal process for re-entering under the circumstances that he was deported. Okay? Yes, he had a criminal record from the past, all right, which is what originally caused his deportation. And now, unfortunately, that will always be a problem for any immigration case he ever applies for. So my advice for him, because of the deportation and because of the circumstances about it, is that he not file asylum. And let me be honest with you, a lot of the people that come in and meet with me about asylum cases, I am very transparent. It's like, man, I'd love, on the one hand, I'd love to take your money. I'd love to build a case. I'd love to file asylum for you. But that's not what it's about. What I really want is I want you to win. I want to have a strategy that's actually going to solve your problem, actually going to get you the status you want. So if it's not going to work or if it's not recommendable, let's be clear about it. Let's really look at it. And sometimes the best advice is, do not file. I love you. I'd love to work with you. But in your situation, really, honestly, sincerely, the best course of action is to do nothing and not file. And so anyway, I just wanted to say that. So, and in that situation, it's sad, right? Because that means that he's going to have to wait a long time. He's got a different case that he can file, but it's going to require them being apart from his wife and from his son for years. All right? To learn more about U visas, which happen to be the other option in that case, we've got a different video that you could check out about that. All right, hey, I'm going to answer the questions now. Enough of the basics, enough of the law, enough of my stories. Let's get into the questions. Remember, submit your questions. Text them to us. Let's get them answered, all right? Also, if this stuff is helpful, if you're with me, if this is helpful, if you like this, please subscribe to our channel. You can do it right now. Please give our video like a thumbs up or a heart sign or some kind of positive vibe on the internet. Tell the internet that this is useful content for you, okay? If you're on YouTube, hit the little notifications bell so you can get future notifications. You don't miss out when we have additional live events or when we have additional videos released, all right? If this is helpful, please tell the internet that it was helpful in some way. I'd really appreciate it. All right, time for the questions. Thanks again to everyone who asked your questions, all right? My first question today comes from Ada. Ada, thank you. Your question is, my husband and I have had asylum case pending for 4 years, since 2017. Is there any end in sight? Oh man, what a great question. That is a great question. And, unfortunately, the answer is no. I mean, Ada, unfortunately, the answer is no. There's a lot of problems with cases that were filed in 2017 or before that are still pending. What are they? The first problem was that there was a switch in 2018, all right, where they started doing last in, first out. Have you heard of this? Which means that if you file your case in 2018, now you're going to be the fastest case to be adjudicated. You'll be the first one out of the system, which is horrible for the people that filed in 2017 and before, because now they're at the end of the line again. That was the first problem. The second problem was, there were just a lot of administrative challenges that happened during the Trump administration and also during the COVID-19 pandemic. All right. And so the bottom line is right now the backlogs are enormous. All right. And I was reading a blog just this morning that saying that there's 386,000 asylum cases that are pending in the asylum office's backlogs throughout the United States. That's a huge, amount. And right now they have a very limited capacity to do interviews, and they need to hire more people. DHS is talking about hiring 3,000 more officers as the year progresses and as the administration moves forward. And that's going to be a serious undertaking. And part of that is, they know, at least the government knows of these horrible, horrible backlogs. And the intention is to do something about it. But really, our hope is that Congress does something about it so that it doesn't, let's get a different solution for these people that doesn't require asylum. Let's pass immigration reform. That's really the long-term solution. Anyway, Ada, thank you for your question. Second question comes from Ophelia. Ophelia's question says, I, along with my husband and 2 kids, came to the USA in 2015. My kids are students over here. I want to apply for students DACA. Can you please guide me? My elder daughter's in college. Second one is in the 6th grade. All right, thank you. Ophelia, thank you. All right, thank you for your question. This is not about asylum. It wasn't what I was planning on discussing today, but let me just answer your question, all right? DACA, unfortunately, so DACA requires, DACA, remember, is Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. DACA requires that you came to the U.S. before the age of 16, which that sounds like that might be true for your kids, all right? But also that you arrived and had, continuous physical presence in the U.S. since before June 15th of 2007, okay? And so based on what your question says, you came to the U.S. in 2015, unfortunately, you will not be eligible for DACA, okay, unless they change the law or open up the DACA program more. But right now, as written, you have to have entered the U.S. before June 15th of 2007 and also before the age of 16 in order to qualify for DACA. There are other requirements for DACA as well, and so, feel free. In fact, we have a webinar that discusses the DACA program. Check that out, okay? All right, the third question I received comes from Kui, K-U-E-I. I hope I'm spelling your name right. Kui, thank you so much for your question. Your question is, how can I petition for my spouse and children to get a visa from overseas? Okay, great question, great question. Unfortunately, it depends, right? This also is not an asylum question, but Kui, to answer your question, the best way to petition for other people to enter the U.S. is if you're a U.S. citizen or a green card holder first, all right? And so my question for you is, are you a U.S. citizen or a green card holder? Because if you are a U.S. citizen or a green card holder, then what you do is you file I-130 petitions for your family members so that they can join you in the U.S., all right? And if you're not a U.S. citizen or a green card holder, then let's have a consultation and let's see what kind of immigration status you have so that, or what we could apply for you so that we can get your paperwork in order first, and then we can talk about how we can help your spouse and children. All right, that's my best advice. That's my best approach. All right, my fourth question, we're doing great. I can see some more questions are coming in. Hey, keep the questions coming. I'll try to get to all of them. Keep them coming in, all right? My fourth question comes from Ahad. Ahad, thank you so much for your question. Ahad says, hello, please advise how a guy of 70 years old can change his life and get out of this cage. All right? You've been here for 5 years, out of status. You want a job. You can't monetarily or otherwise look upon to be liked by anyone. Okay, I can't understand all the details of your question, Ahad, but thank you for it. What I do understand is, okay, you're 70 years old, you've been here for 5 years, you're out of status, and you want to fix this. All right, I think that's your main question. And so, Ahad, thank you for that question, all right? You are not alone. You are not alone. And it's a tough situation. And the best answer that I can give you is to call and schedule a consultation with a lawyer who's near you, or feel free to contact my office, but call a lawyer who knows what they're talking about to see if you have a case. All right? We got to see if you've got a case. Some people don't have cases. Like there are 11 million undocumented immigrants in the United States that do not have cases. All right? Some percentage of them do have an option and just haven't filed it yet. But many people, unfortunately, do not have an option. All right? And so, but let's, Ahad, call our office. Let's figure it out. Let's ask the questions. Maybe it's asylum, like we're talking about on today's Empowered Immigrant Live. But maybe it's a U visa. All right? Have you ever been the victim of a crime or abuse or an attack or assault here in the U.S.? Maybe it's a cancellation of removal case. Do you have a U.S. citizen spouse, parent, or child who would suffer an exceptional or an extremely unusual hardship if you were deported? What about a adjustment of status case? Do you have kids who are over 21 and are they U.S. citizens? All right? Do you have a spouse in the U.S.? Did you enter the U.S. lawfully? Like, let's discuss all of that stuff in a consultation so that we can give you very specific advice about your situation. All right? Good. Next question, fifth question, comes from Johnny. Johnny, thank you for your question. Johnny says, if someone came here legally on a visitor's visa and never left the country, what is their chance of getting a green card to be legalized? Thank you. All right, Johnny, thank you. If it's just that, you came here legally, you've never left the country, there's no option. All right? If that's all that there is, there's no option for you. In fact, you've overstayed your visa. All right? If you never left, you've overstayed your visa, and in overstaying your visa, you became, quote-unquote, deportable under Section 237 of the Immigration Nationality Act. All right? And so since you're deportable, now that's a problem. And so now we've got to find some other way of fixing it. Right now, the laws are against you. The way to see if there's some way to fix it is to have a consultation, and we really need to talk it through. It's kind of the same as the last individual, the same as Ahad's question. Like, schedule a consultation. Let's see, maybe you're eligible for a U visa. Maybe you're eligible for asylum or adjustment of status or cancellation of removal or some other benefit. But we've got to meet and we've got to ask you 1,000 questions to see. It's not 1,000. It's probably 10 minutes worth of questions to see if you possibly have a case that we could help you with. Okay? Awesome. We're doing great, you guys. Keep your questions coming. All right, I see a couple of new ones have come in just right now. One of them comes from Mary. All right. Mary says, hello, I'm a new subscriber. How long should I wait if my petition for my spouse if he's outside the U.S.? Okay, this is a great question. Mary, thank you so much for asking it. It's going to depend on a lot of things. All right. If you're a U.S. citizen and you filed a petition for your spouse, now the petitioning part of the process should go relatively smoothly. All right. As long as your marriage was in good faith, not just for immigration purposes, as long as it was well documented and the forms were filled out correctly, the petitioning process, should take a year or less. Then it goes to a place called the National Visa Center, the NVC we call it. And at the NVC stage, we've got to submit additional paperwork, the affidavit of support. Mary, we've got to submit your tax returns. We've got to show you're willing to sponsor your husband. We've got to show that your husband is quote unquote admissible to enter the United States, that he hasn't had any criminal arrests or anything like that from overseas. If he's ever entered the U.S. before, we've got to explain what happened there. Okay? And then after that, the NVC will help to coordinate a consular interview at the U.S. consulate overseas in whatever country he's in. And so I'm not sure which country he's in, but some countries are more open right now than others. In fact, some countries are still closed because of the pandemic. All right? Like, I should ask you, in your opinion, is the COVID-19 pandemic over and done? Answer, no, it's not. All right? It might be ending in certain places, all right, to a large degree, but it is still happening in many parts of the world. And so the truth is there are still embassies that are functioning at a very limited capacity, so it will take a long time depending on which country you're in. Mary, I hope that was helpful. All right. The next question, I can't tell what name you're using. The name online says Golden Gate. All right. Very cool. So it says, good afternoon, attorney. What can an illegal migrant worker do if they cannot afford a lawyer? Most immigrants I know have no money and are exploited. Are there any free services or pro bono services? Thank you. Hey, Golden Gate, thank you. That's a great question. It's a great point. You're right. The access to top quality legal service providers is very limited. It's very limited, all right? And combine that with the fact that immigration law is so ridiculously complex, it is hard to get good counsel for people who need it, okay? And it depends. Like, the answer to your question is, it depends on several things. One of them is where your client is located. Based on the name Golden Gate, I would guess you're here in the Bay Area, right where I am. If so, yes, there are a lot of nonprofit organizations, pro bono service providers, and depending on what he's going to be applying for, there are various options. In fact, I have volunteered with various organizations to do Know Your Rights presentations, to get information out there, all right? It just so happens that my law firm is not a free service provider. There are nonprofits that do it that are great nonprofits. We'd be happy to share their information as well. That is not my office. My office, we are more focused on providing outstanding quality, and unfortunately, outstanding quality often costs more, all right? And that's just the bottom line. All right, my next question, and thank you, Golden Gate. If you have questions or if I can help more with that, reach out. The next question is, when, and this also is, I can't see a name with this question, so I'm sorry if I've missed a name here. The question reads, when would it be dangerous for an illegal immigrant to apply for anything to avoid being deported? what are the red flags that USCIS looks for criminal records, things like that. And you said, thank you very much for this live stream. Hey, thank you very much for this question. All right. Your question is, well, when would it be dangerous? When is it risky to apply for something? All right. The risks will go up. This is a tricky question. I should think about how to answer it. The risks will go up if you have a criminal record. All right. The risks will go up if you are a enforcement priority. So there's a recent memo, and I've had videos that discusses the recent memos in the Biden administration about enforcement priorities. Basically, if you're a national security risk, a border security risk, or a risk to public safety. All right. Including if you have a DUI, right, from years ago, right? You could be an enforcement priority risk just because of that one DUI. And so, those things can make it more risky. It doesn't necessarily mean that you can't win, all right? Now, my office has won cases that were risky. And it's like, okay, we like to explain it clearly to the client so that the client can make a fully informed decision. Look, this case is risky. There are risks involved. And if you file the case and if you lose, you'll be deported. All right? But on the flip side, there are benefits involved also. And if you win, which we can talk about the strengths and weaknesses of the case, we won't take your case if we don't think you have a case, right? We can't guarantee success, but we won't take our firm's on a mission to win. We're actually on a mission to win 10,000 cases by 2035. I'd love it if one of you, call us and hires us, and you can be one of those wins for us. All right? We're on a mission to win cases, and so I'm not interested in filing a case that's going to get denied. But at the same time, there's never a guarantee, and so there's always going to be some risk. All right? And so, okay, then it's like, okay, let's analyze. What are the costs? What are the benefits? What are the risks? And we can just do the analysis together. We like to look at the risks. We like to look at the costs, meaning time, money, everything else, all the appointments and things like that. Like let's put all that together. And here's the thing. The question often is those benefits, like that green card, that U.S. citizenship, that visa, whatever it is that you want, that benefit, is that worth the risk to you? Is that worth the cost to you? Is it worth the cost plus the risk to you? If it is, and if you've got a case, do it. All right? Like, I talk about this in the Empowered Immigrant podcast a lot. It's like no risk, no reward. There's risk in everything. If you don't want to have a risk, then go huddle up in your bed. All right? We'll put a nice blanket on you. We'll feed you food. If you want zero risk in your life, if you want to do nothing if you never want to be deported, and if you never want to have any contact with immigration, then heck, just go lie in the corner all day long every day. All right? But it's like if you want a benefit, sometimes that benefit requires risk, and that's true in every area of your life, including immigration. I hope that was a satisfactory answer to that question, because it is an important question, and that's one that I take, it's kind of near and dear to my heart, right? Like I couldn't do what I'm doing if I hadn't taken some risk, right? And so, anyway, there's always risk. And we want to mitigate it. We want to be smart about it. We want to be wise about it. We want to we want to walk into a situation with both eyes open, all right? And that's what a good lawyer can help you do also. My last question of the day says, hey, when will the Haitian TPS application period open? When will the Haitian TPS application period open? How long will it be open for? If they have no money to go through a lawyer, what's the best way to get them to be applied and get them approved? Thank you. Gosh, I wish I knew the answer to that. That's a great question. I'd be fine to look that up and post something about it after today's video. I do not have an answer just on the tip of my brain, and I'd hate to say something that I'm not 100% certain about. So my answer for you right now, everybody listening in, is I don't know. I don't know. That's a great question. And I don't know the answer, but I'd be happy to look it up, and I could provide you some information about it. Really, the way I would look it up, just go onto uscis.gov, look up Haitian TPS, or you could look up the TPS page and see if there's any re-registration period. I don't think it's been announced yet, and so maybe the answer is, hey, there's no announcement yet. All right, so we got to wait. Sometimes with TPS, we got to wait for the Secretary of Homeland Security to announce when and whether they're going to do re-registration. And that's just the way it is. Everyone, thank you all so much. Thank you all so much for being with me today. It is 2:38. We are ending right on time. And so here's the thing. If you have more questions, all right, if you have more questions, if you need help with your immigration case, if you want top quality help with your immigration case, please contact our office. Our number is here, right below right below me here on the video on the screen. Give us a call. All right, give us a call. If this was useful, please subscribe to our channel. I wish you the very, very best of luck with your case. Asylum is tough. Asylum is no joke. I wish you the best. Good luck. Here we are. I'm Otis Landerholm, Landerholm Immigration, A.P.C, where we fight for your American dream. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.